In case you didn't feel it, we're on the slowdown and approach now. Get your things and be ready. We're unloading in a few minutes, and the captain wants a quick turnaround.
Oh, good, she said, dropping her net disc into the top of her small carry-on bag, one of two she'd brought. I suppose I misunderstood, but I thought for certain you said we were beginning our slowdown yesterday morning. I've been ready since then.
He shrugged. Takes a while to slow something this big down.
He turned to leave. Sir, she said. The crewman turned and stared blankly through her. I don't suppose you would be willing to carry my bag of things for me?
He huffed, the first indication that his dull, disengaged attitude thus far had been as near as he was liable to get to customer service. The next stop would be surliness, and it would be a very short trip. She nudged her larger bag forward, heavily loaded with clothes for 10 days or so, as well as some essentials. He wrapped a meaty mitt around it and yanked it into the narrow hallway. The pair trudged through the dank corridor for what seemed like several minutes before Benita got the courage together to speak again.
I don't suppose there is anywhere on the ship where I can get an external view of our destination.
He turned. Gone was the blank stare. Now she'd earned a hardened glare. Apparently his limit for questions and requests was precisely 1. What do you care? It's just a space station. Benita froze as though he'd brandished a hatchet.
I have to audit it, you see, and I just hoped I could get some sense of the scope of the job.
He glared at her for a moment longer, then turned without further comment. Benita was tempted to drop the issue there. If it were simply something to do with her own curiosity, she would have. But this was her business, and her dedication to doing a good job was one of the only aspects of her personality that could overpower her desire to avoid anything resembling confrontation.
It's just that this is my first full audit I'll be performing for my supervisor. I don't want to fall short of his expectations.
I couldn't give less of a damn about how good of a job you do for your boss.
But Mr. Lunt has placed a great deal of confidence in me, and it...
He turned again. She braced herself for a gale force glaring. Instead, she saw something closer to a rodent staring down a hungry feline. Mr. Lunt? Brent Lunt? Are you on Brent Lunt's payroll?
Yes, sir. He is my direct superior.
He turned and hustled to the nearest intercom panel and mashed the button with his palm. Captain, is this shipment for the Lunt family? He said urgently. We don't talk about that sort of thing, Lewis. Yeah, but are we specifically not talking about this thing for this reason? Yes, Lewis. He turned from the intercom and looked sheepishly to the floor in front of Benita. I'm very sorry, ma'am. I didn't know you were a member of the Lunt family, ma'am. Right this way to the Loader's Nest, ma'am. Excellent views there, ma'am.
Really, if it's any trouble...
No trouble, ma'am, he said, hurrying along. They found their way to a crew elevator. Despite having been en route for several days, this was the first she'd seen of the elevator. Until now, she had been under the impression the only way to get around the huge ship was via perilous ladders and staircases.
I really don't mean to cause any trouble. I'm new to Mr. Lunt's organization, and while he's made it clear I'm not to discuss his business...
I don't want to hear about his business, ma'am, Crewman Lewis blurted.
I know, but I didn't intend to...
She took a flustered breath.
I occasionally forget the weight his name carries in idle conversation.
I wouldn't know anything about that, ma'am. Just a legitimate businessman, and let's leave it at that. Please. A short, uncomfortably silent ride on the elevator brought them to the Loader's Nest. It was a capsule-shaped room with curved windows, wrapping from wall to ceiling along one side. Benita could see rails extending along the length of the ship, and a short but sturdy gantry extending out the front. The vast, star-speckled darkness of space filled the view. Evidently, the system's 3 stars were behind them, so the view was unmarred by glare. Benita briefly wished she'd spent more time studying astronomy.